Oi, Matt.
Hey, Mike.
You want we should, get with the chat about the things?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
I was trying to come up with how to yes and that accent and couldn't come up with anything because it was amusing me too much.
I gotta knock you off your feet every once in a while. Hello. I'm not going to continue that accent. Don't worry.
Oi, Will.
Welcome to
it's a programming podcast.
yes, it's a programming podcast called
Back in the Grepson, sir.
No. Yeah. May I have some more Grepson, sir?
More?
I have a family of 15, sir. I need to feed them. So, welcome to Hacking the Grepson, a podcast where we try things and then abandon them immediately. No, it's about programming and
I think that would just be an ADHD podcast.
And game development, ostensibly, is what we are currently talking about today. And so something that I wanted to try recently, because, Matt, we had talked about doing our game, which still doesn't have any true form or structure of any sort, in Defold or Love 2D, both based on, there are Lua programming language, and one of them is very bare bones, Love 2D, and Defold is much more of an IDE. But I thought maybe we were giving short shrift to some of the other IDEs, and so I decided to reinvestigate Godot, or Godot, however you want to say it.
Apparently it is Godot, but both are acceptable, but Godot is how the creator calls it, whereas I can't help but think of...
Did you write it in Go or something? Like, why?
I don't know, but I can't help but think of Waiting for Godot, so that is what it's called, as far as I'm concerned. It's like the GIF thing. Sometimes there's a right answer that's not what the creator thinks it is.
I mean, whenever I hear someone talk about it in like a YouTube video, they all say Godot. I just made up that Godot right now to be silly.
No, I was watching something on integrating Claude and Godot. I'm just going to call it Godot. I don't care. And the guy just kept saying Godot, like robot, but it was Godot. Like he was pronouncing it like that. And I was like, I'm on Reddit. I'm going to say that you're wrong about this. And it's like, wait a minute. And I went and looked. Like, no, in fact, that's not the case.
Amazing.
Yeah. So oddly enough, I also decided to look into Godot some over the last couple of weeks.
Fascinating.
For me, it was because I kept getting notifications about there being a new version out there. And I'd messed around with Godot several years ago.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? We looked at Defold and Love 2D, and I like them, but I feel like our lack of game development experience is getting in our way of doing anything in those, because the getting started bar is higher, I feel like, on those things. Like just getting something to show up on the screen requires more work. And as soon as we started messing around with Defold, which has its own IDE, I was like, well, that was the reason I didn't want to use Godot. So, well, if we're going to do it anyway with Defold, let's just go ahead and go back to Godot.
Yeah, I'm sure I messed around with Godot in the past because, I've tried to, we both tried to like mess around with making games over the years. So yeah, it's been around for a while. I don't know exactly how long. But just opening it again recently, I'm like, wow, this is just Defold, but I don't know, more and just more. It feels a little more developed.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the the way that it's set up with what you're working on in the middle and little context windows on the left and right. It feels like any major creation software that has a ton of built-in little widgets and modules. And I went to their asset library that they have online, and you know people have made tons of free assets and full projects, so you can just download like a full 2D platformer that's already done and has all the things working. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get this. And I think I was also, because we talked about this last time, that one person who's remaking The Legend of Zelda Dungeon 1 but in an illustrated style. Yeah, he is making it in Godot, and so the game development videos he was showing showed Godot and him working in it. And I'm like, oh yeah. It definitely is one of those things where, like you had mentioned, you didn't want to live in the IDE, but this is definitely a live in the IDE. Yeah. Like you learn Godot to make a game rather than making a game and Godot helps you make it.
But I kept finding that was the case with the other ones anyway. It's like it was never.
Oh really?
Like, I want to take the language I'm already familiar with and make a game. And Pygame is the closest I've ever come to that in a way that worked, in a way that I liked. But it's too niche, I think. It doesn't have a community behind it. And I think we're too new at this to not have that level of support online.
Yeah.
I think it's worth, like, okay, fine. We spent 6 months debating what IDE we're going to what language we're going to use, and let's abandon that. Screw the sunk cost fallacy. It is a fallacy. Let's just jump in and try. Fine, hold our hands some more while we do this. And I've been looking into it, and part of my concern is time. Right, we have finite time to do things, more finite than it seems like other people who seem to just have extra time that they do things in. I don't know when people do stuff anymore. So I do still want to be able to do like Claude integration or something while writing the code. And apparently it's not doable with Godot. So I haven't.
So it is doable?
Yeah, I haven't actually tried it yet, but from what I'm reading, it's good for certain things. So I'm hoping it'll be useful at the very least to be like, okay, this is broken and I don't understand why. Or, oh, I did this, but I really want it done this other way. Can you just like reorganize it all? At the very least, if we can have it do that and be a little code assistant, I'll be good.
Yeah, I was looking back at our original Let's Make a Game Google Doc, which had everything from like the components of a game, our favorites, ideas we had, the game engines, various things about them. And one of them was, one of the sections was sharing, which was basically like, how easy is it to share a Godot project? And Godot was still in the, I would say green for that, because all of its scene files are plain text, and it still just uses, it uses the same kind of normal file types, just in that you can put in a zip file. And I even just tried to open up like a simple Pong clone in Godot, and I was able to export it to a Mac DMG file. And then I opened that file, and then I copied out the app.file, which is the executable, and I double clicked on it and it worked, which is always kind of like, will that work? Because Mac is definitely more restricted when it comes to running stuff than Windows is for now. The only thing that you would probably run into issues, and I recently was helping a friend of mine who is working on a kind of an old school JRPG that they've been working on for years. And, one of the things that you have to do is you have to be able to export this to Mac if you want it to run it on a Mac, even though they're developing on Windows. And sometimes, when someone makes something on their machine, especially a Mac thing, and then moves it to a different Mac, it doesn't always work because of notarization or gatekeeping or whatnot. And so, I had to monkey around with it a little bit to make that work. So it was nice that Godot just, after filling out a few things, it has a lot of options to export a game. Yeah. I found, and it gives you a little warning saying, hey, if you don't solve this problem, you will have this issue when you try to open this thing later, which I find very nice, because that's one of the things that like I look for in any kind of game development IDE like this, is like, okay, can I just open a game and export it to an executable and give it to someone and play? Yeah. Because like all that time I spent working on Gem Warrior in Ruby, I then spent literal tens of man hours trying to get it to export in a way that it could run on someone else's computer that wasn't developing it. And I was never able to just get like a one shot and it worked.
Yeah.
So I'm a big proponent of that kind of basic functionality just working without banging your head against the wall. So we could still share Godot files. It was the point of that.
That's what I went to go look at. I wanted to look at what's actually in this directory So I started playing around with one of the tutorials I've built it before, but I feel like I'm paying more attention this time than I have in the past, possibly because of like having to try to do this in those other languages that we were playing around with. And like, okay, that was a pain. How do I act? Like, what am I really doing here?
What's happening?
And so like, I wanted to look at what's in my directory to see like, is there anything in here that would be difficult to share? And yeah, I don't see. It's like, a bunch. I just noticed there was a random song that got installed as part of the. There was some random music that came with the tutorial zip file that had the assets in it, and I just noticed there was a song in it called "houseinAforestloop.org." But yeah, so it's got a couple binary files, but they're all like PNGs and stuff, which I don't love storing those in Git. I don't like
the repo.
I don't like storing binaries in Git repos, but that's relatively small stuff, and it makes sense to store here. Like we're not talking. Yeah, the size of like enemy walking 1.png is 3K. Like, okay. But if you have a ton of images that can add up.
Yeah, and it has as much images as you put in it.
Exactly.
So it's not really like the IDE's fault. It's just, yeah.
I do like that, like, I think it was Defold that did this. You can define your sprites with individual images and put them together, as opposed to like, here's a sprite sheet. Because it just sprite sheets I don't fully grok them. But yeah, looking at this, I'm the same way. It's all text for the most part.
Yeah, I'm with the sprite sheet thing. That got big in web dev as well. Apparently in terms of like the network requests, you'd rather request one file and then call coordinates of that file. But that's literally just a performance thing. That doesn't make it any easier to code. It might even make it harder to code, like you said. So yeah,
I've worked on projects that effectively used sprite sheets in like the UI development that we were doing, and it was exactly that. It was an optimization that we dealt with at the end. So I'm like, great, let's not worry about this right now. Optimization here's a
premature optimization.
Here's a Matt stance for the day.
Matt stance. Ooh, TM.
Yeah. I think that optimization is a compiler's job. It is not a developer's job at the like nitty gritty of things like that. Like I have all these images and I put them in here. At that point, that is a compiler's job, a bundler's job to make that efficient. My job is to make the logic of how the code works efficient. Like if I'm putting in a triple for loop, that's a me problem. I don't expect the optimizer to fix that. Maybe someday, some of them do that now, but that's I don't expect them to help with that. But I do expect them to help with like, oh, the size of this array is wrong or whatever. Like just you figure that out. That's your job. I am not a computer. You are.
Yeah. Well, and in the terms of web dev, using a sprite sheet over or not, there's really no compilation there that could fix that. It's just 1 versus 10 network requests. So I can see why it's on the developer to do that. But in game dev, yes, I don't really see why, because you're not making network requests to get new images in this game. You've hopefully downloaded the whole thing to your computer and then you hit go. So
unless you're doing a lot of like dynamic loading of things. It also, I think, depends on how much you're going to host locally on the machine. Like you said, if I'm running the game on my computer, you don't care. It's only about the size of the file then that matters. And who cares now? We're not making a multi-gigabyte AAA game here. Whatever we make is going to be small.
Well, not with that attitude. No.
For phase one.
And I also and I always thought that like okay, a 3x3 grid sprite sheet of images of a PNG, it's not fewer file bytes than 9 separate PNGs, right? I mean, they're just next to each other.
I think there's some overhead
in memory,
but yeah, generally speaking,
it seems negligible, especially for game development that we're doing.
Yeah. My understanding is like sprite sheets. There's also a lot of, and I don't know how doable this is with the individuals, but I would expect it to be the same thing of like how you define what pieces of it are transparent. For example, like in at least in like old school, you'd see a lot of like pink backgrounds on sprites because that was the like the upper left hand corner. That was the transparency color. It's like don't do this part.
Right.
I don't know that that's as important now because you have a PNG where it has transparency built into it.
Right.
So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know either.
So cool. So we both looked at Godot.
Yeah, we both looked at Godot, and I think that it's worth spending some more time on.
Definitely.
But I do think that it. I mean, even just looking at it and talking about it for a little while, like it kind of gets back to my main issue with game dev right now is that like I am currently not inspired to make a game. I don't know if it was just like the big, time gap in between when we were talking about it a lot and then we weren't for a while, but like I'm trying to like it reminds me of this conversation I had with our friend where I was talking to him about how we were trying out these different game development IDEs trying to figure out which one made the most sense to make the game, and I'm like, how would you go about doing that? And he was like, well, I would think about the kind of game I want to make and then make it. However, I did that, and it it kind of clued me in that I was thinking about it in an opposite way. I was thinking about how can I make a game and then make a game in that thing.
I am a bottom up thinker. I very much do think this way of like I need to approach it from the what am I building it in, blah blah blah, step up. But from a top down perspective, that's such the wrong way to do it. And honestly, if I knew all the different game dev engines and whatnot, I would go for the use the right tool for the job. But like, I just want to find a generic tool that is good for generically making games quickly so that we can try stuff out. And we just haven't found that yet.
Yeah.
But maybe Godot.
I mean, I'm assuming. So then can I assume that your action from this would be to make your ball moving, jumping prototype, but in Godot, and then see what that feels like?
Maybe either that one or another similar thing. What I really want is I want to make two things. I want to make a top-down Zelda-like view, sandboxy world. Like you can walk around in it, right? You can control your character so that I can just see what happens if, right? Is this cool if I give him a weapon that does this? Right? Is that kind of fun to play with? And I want the same thing from a 2D platformer perspective. And then I just want to play, but I can't get to that first stage of either of those in a way. The correct way to do that is to steal someone else's game and build off of that. Like I know this, but I need to understand it more. And so like I'm stuck in this, like I want to build one that's just like, I mean, honestly, the stupid ball thing was exactly what I was looking for. Like, okay, I have a ground. I have collision. If I hit a wall, all I got to do is start adding stuff to this and I can play with it. I want that, but I want to actually like what's coming out of it. I got real wrapped around the axle on trying to draw the graphics in that thing. I need that easier. And I think that's where tile sets and all that other stuff come into play. And I didn't and I felt like it was confusing the heck out of me. To fold, where I kind of get what they're doing in Godot with it because it's more object oriented based, and that's the way my brain works. Like I like that I just have a class that is my player scene, and I'm like, okay, I get this. I can understand this. But yeah, I want to get something like that. I even feel like even simpler it'd be cool to make not Balatro, but something like that where it's like here is a screen. There's no action going on. You're just doing stuff to the screen. I click on this and a card gets pulled or whatever. Like just making that kind of thing is what I need to do to get the feel of how it works so that I can build a larger thing. Because if I decide like the physics of a platformer is such a pain, I just don't want to deal with it. Great, we're not making that game.
No, I like what you're saying. I think we keep circling around a similar conclusion, but what I really like is that it is making me think of the I downloaded a few open source projects in Godot just to see what they did, and most of them are almost like they're almost like just a little too much. Even though they're basic, they're almost like, okay, you want a 2D platformer? Well, here's a 2D platformer, and now mess around with it. But like something even simpler, like the one, like your ball on the ground moving between the walls and jumping, like something like that, or like you said, something that's just a screen, and if I press a button, something appears on the screen, and then again and again, and if I mess a variable, now it's a different color or it's a different shape or something, and I think maybe it's harder than we think to find that kind of thing just existing in the world, and you do have to everybody has to build their little tiny toolbox like that, and then you go from there. And like you said, once you get there, once you have that just as your starting point and not either a blank screen or something that's way too done or too differentiated into something already, then you always go back to that. It's sort of like when I'm making templates for Logic projects. Like, it took me a little while to get the Hacking the Grepson template in Logic to where it has all the tracks where they are. It has like the audio files that I use for like the intro and the outro all in there. And then once it's there and set, and I have like a specific, like a compressor on our different tracks and not the other tracks because of our voice, then I can save that as a template. And now ever since then, I just make a new one of that. Yeah. But it took effort and time to get from like a blank Logic template, which has nothing set up, to that, to then a finished episode.
It's like, that's what I want. Like, I want a wizard, kind of, where I say, I want to make a game.
Wizard. Ooh.
I want to make a top-down game. And then it'll be like, where are your images for your player character? I'll be like, here. And then it I just want to like populate the very basics, because none of that is groundbreaking. None of that's new. None of that's interesting. Just, I want my character to be able to walk around and bump into walls and die if enemies hit it or whatever. Right? Mm-hmm. None of that's complicated, but I don't want to build it all. Because it's not complicated, I don't want to build it. I want that given to me, and then I want to add to it. I want to yes and that piece. I don't want to put out the original part. That part's boring.
Yeah.
And this is what I use. This is what I use AI for in my day-to-day job, right? It's like, getting started now, which is such a huge barrier to me on things, is easier now because I can be like, okay, I'm going to be doing this. Can you get the scaffolding all set up? Blah, blah, blah. And I haven't yet found a good way to do that in any of these game engines, because I would really like to just be able to go and say, Claude, I'm making a 2D top-down, blah, blah, blah. Give me the skeleton. Go. And then I go from there.
I'm actually kind of surprised that doesn't work, because that seems
it might.
Like
I haven't tried Claude with Godot yet. That is another. Yeah. I gotta put it on a different computer first before I can do that.
I think I linked a while ago like a video where some person was trying out like 3 different AIs, and he was trying to recreate Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And he just like gave it a prompt, said make it, here's the da-da-da, and then see where they started, and they all got the basic gist, but some of them were better than others. So it seems doable. I don't think he was doing it. The result was all like a web game.
Yeah.
Like none of it was in an actual IDE like this. So that's the next level, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the part that's that translation bit that's the hurdle, is getting from sure, I could vibe code the entire thing in just like raw, I don't know, whatever you use for that in web dev, HTML5 and CSS and stuff.
In JavaScript, that's basically it. Yeah.
Like, and it defined its own images somehow. That's part of what I want. I want the PNGs, and I want the art part of it, which I'm not good at. I want something to take care of that. I'm not good at that part. I want to say, here is the behavior. And I want to code up like the AI of like one of the bad guys or something. That's the interesting piece to me.
Yeah.
Just give me all of the pieces of it. And that's where like Game Maker probably comes in. You know, there are things out there that do that, but they take too much control away.
Yeah, it's I still go back to the like, we need to like get in a room for a day and just hammer out something. Like everything just kind of feels not pointless, but just, you know, it's just kind of scuttling around in a sandbox, but it's not really making anything that, you know, we're going to do anything with. So,
well, if I could get like one of those bare bones projects up and running, then you and I could, we don't even have to be in the same room. We could do exactly like this and just be like, cool. All right, I'm going to start adding to this capability. You you want to put a UI in front. Cool. Go do that. I'll go make this player actually be able to jump in a way that feels satisfying. Cool. All right, go off. Come back. How did that work? Or we have questions. Or even just sit this open all day. All right, I'm going to try this. But yeah, I do think we need that. We just need to get that starting point to be able to start doing something.
Well, and that also means like making this a priority, which I think is difficult for both of us.
What's a priority?
Yeah, it's that thing where you decide to do something above other things.
Oh, but everything is priority one. Didn't you know this, Mike?
Oh, right. Yeah. How's that working out?
I don't know.
Everything gets done when it gets done, but you never know when it's going to get done.
I've been trying to explain to people for years that if everything is priority one, nothing is.
Yeah.
Like you have to.
Right. Like you said, what is a priority?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's like, I don't know. I'm doing this thing now. I'll do something else later. Yeah. Who knows?
You know, prioritize this above playing the games, as an example. You know, that would be a lot of that would save a lot. I'd have a lot more time because I've dumped like 30 hours into Chained Echoes in the last couple weeks because a friend of mine told me to play it. I was like, I had finished a game. I was like, I want a new one. All right, let's try this thing. You told me these two. What should I pick? That one. Great. Let's go. And I've been playing it and it's fun. And like, I got some ideas for like what I do and don't want in games. I need to actually spend time making them now.
Yeah. And so much of it is just not inspiring or exciting. And so it's hard to start. It's hard to really start and get into it.
Yeah. It'd be really cool if we can come up with these like templates, whatever, that the infrastructure, the scaffolding, that's the word I wanted. If we could have that for like a couple of types of games that we're probably want to play with this, like, you know, the Fallout Zelda, like, you know, it's going to be in this format, standard key mappings, all that stuff. And we say, okay, great. Claude, go look at that thing. You see how that's done? Go spin me up a new one of those, but I want it to do XYZ just to get it like plop. Here's a thing. And then we can go in and start tweaking the code, not actually tweaking, which would be weird. Like that, I feel like you and I, because of time limitations, need the kind of thing where we can jump in, play around with it for an hour, and then jump out.
Yeah.
Whereas right now where I am in this is I jump in and the hour is me going, how do I do the most basic thing in the world? Okay. Yeah. Oh, hour's up.
Yeah. All I feel like is just agreeing with everything you're saying. I don't really have any unique perspective on this because it's just time and effort and priority are all out of whack for this project right now, and it's I'm finding it difficult to get into anything that like has any momentum. I just have like no momentum. I look at it and I'm like, okay, yep, that's why that's a game. Those are variables.
That's why there's two parts of programming that are hard for me: starting a project and ending a project. I'm great at the middle part.
The middle's fun. Oh, the middle's delicious.
Like, I'm going to try this now. I'm going to try this now. Because I've got I can just jump in. I have the context all there. I'm not having to relearn something every time I jump in. That's where we need to be. And so at some point, one of us is going to make a project that gets far enough that we're like, let's just run with this. And we'll go.
Right. Because the other one will just be like, whatever, let's go. All right. Well, I think at least for this juncture, let's play around with Godot. Let's see how that sits. I like the idea of trying to make a template that is jump-inable. Even if I have to take one that exists and strip it down to kind of like the basics. Yeah. Like, here's just a floor, and here's a platform, and here's a character, and that's it, nothing else. And then you can just spin off of that. So why don't I do that? Because I like the idea of the 2D platformer.
Okay.
And
I'll see if I can do the top down. And I'll see if I can make one that's a top down version of that.
Okay. And then you make a top down template, and then we'll see. Let's try some. Let's make some real effort into turning it into the perfect template jumping off point, because I think that would be helpful in general. Yeah.
I think that would be good.
So, okay.
And fun. Right. I think that would be fun too.
All right. Well, I think we have some ideas, as we always have had.
Do it. It. Nope, I can't.
Go doot.
Go doot.
Go doot. Yes, we will go it, and we will return back with you with our findings after we have waited on the Godot.
Yep.
But I believe that will wrap up this episode of Hacking the Grepson, where we continue to try to make a game.
And
someday we will make that game. Worry not, dear readers, listeners, watchers,
folks,
consumers, greppers, Grepsonites.
I like greppers.
Okay, I'm going to stop now.
No, it should be hackers, but it's greppers. I like greppers better.
Greppers, yeah. Hi, Mom.
What's up, Grepsons? Actually, that would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, we're the Grepson. I'm the Grepson of the mom,
and I'm
is listening.
Who's hacking it? I don't know.
I don't know. That wraps up this episode of Hacking the Grepson. If you want to listen to more of our talks, we have about a dozen of them about making a game. Making a game is hard. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of ups and downs, and
it's a journey.
You're hearing our journey.
It's a journey.
It is not the game that we make in the end are the friends we met along the way.
Exactly.
But also we'll have a game, maybe.
Oh.
But until then, if you want to listen to more, go to hackingthegrepson.com. We try to put out an episode every other week on Wednesday, and thus far, 4+ years into the process, that continues to be true. But until the next time we talk at you, we now return you to your regularly scheduled lives already in progress.